This week on the Baseline Podcast, March Madness is here, and that means that Josh and I are going to be talking about all things college basketball. We're going to be breaking down from the first 116 matchup to the last 116 matchup and everywhere in between. We're going to be discussing key matchups, upsets, and a shock in some of our brackets. All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and you might be wondering why we're laughing. It's not.
Yeah, why are you laughing so hard?
It's
just
March,
an intro.
It's March Madness, man. No, yeah, my brain is kaput today. But here we are. We are talking about March Madness, Josh. It's our favorite time of the year. I think at the beginning of our show doing this together, I think 2 years ago, this was like one of our first main things that we talked about, I think, because I think you came on at the end of January, and then this was like the first big item that we kind of talked about. And it's kind of becoming a tradition that we go through our bracket.
Okay.
How do you feel? Feel good?
I mean, I never feel good filling them out, especially this year before I saw the bracket come out. Three of the teams that I felt like could be Final Fours are all in the same region.
I agree.
So I can only pick one of them, obviously. I feel pretty confident about who's going to win it all, at least. So hopefully I can get that much right. But yeah, running through the bracket, there's a handful of teams I could see making a little run here if things unfold the way that I at least picked them. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what you got, and I'm excited to see if I'm gonna make any changes as we talk, and maybe you can convince me on some things because it's rough. It's rough out here.
Yeah, and I feel like this year, and Josh, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think this year is the one year when I've watched college basketball. I don't feel like there's a team that I'm like, they can dominate, because I think UConn's the closest to going like, okay, this team's really, really good. But it's like, I don't look at a team and go like they're unbeatable. Like there's no team this year that's unbeatable, and it's very obvious. And it's
Yeah,
also, I don't get it.
I think UConn's the closest one to being, quote unquote unbeatable, even though they got three
Yes.
losses. And then there's maybe two others that I could see being in like that next tier, and then there's a lot of others in that third tier that I guess we'll see what happens.
Yes, for sure. So the way it's going to work is Josh and I, we're going to kind of go through. We won't really do the first four. I know personally, I always like to choose the first four because I think it's fun. But we will go through from East all the way down to the Midwest, and then kind of break. We won't break down every game because then we'd be here until the end of the March Madness season. But we are going to talk about the different things that come from interesting matchups, things like that. Maybe there's a game where like we're just going to say it and then we'll move on. So just so everyone know, we're not trying to like jeopardize your team. Okay, we're not trying to pick favorites here. But that is what's going to happen. So Josh, why don't we start with in the East? Let's go. Let's start at the very first game, or the first teams listed: UConn versus Stetson. Josh, is this a 16 seed making it to the next round?
Unfortunately, it is not.
Shocker.
I got UConn going pretty far, as you'll find out
Yeah.
here when I give my final four picks and stuff. But out of the East, yeah, we got UConn Stetson. I think UConn's slam dunk there.
Yep.
FAU Northwestern. I like the run that FAU made last year, and Northwestern's had a more
Northwestern.
I guess solid season than what they typically would on the basketball court, but I'm still taking FAU regardless. Here, what about you?
Yeah, so here I got UConn. I think I'm with you. I think UConn's the best. I think they're the best team in the tournament, and I think it's just a very obvious case. I think you'll see in my bracket as well that they're going to go pretty far. And then I'm with you. Like Northwestern to me is a team that is just always like I don't know. It's just like it's Northwestern, and I hate to say that because it's a Big Ten team, but it's like you're playing against Florida Atlantic, you should win it, right? You're a Big Ten team, but it's just like it's Northwestern. If it was any other Big Ten team there, I'd be like, I'll take the Big Ten team. So for me,
Yeah.
it's Florida Atlantic. They what they did last year, and obviously being back there again this year, I think they have a chance to make some noise.
Some notable matchups for Northwestern. They did get a win over Purdue this year.
They
Split
did,
that
yes.
series. They split their series with Illinois as well. Split with Michigan State, lost to Wisconsin both times. So they've gotten some wins over some quality programs.
Yeah.
FAU, being in a smaller conference, didn't necessarily maybe get challenged as much, but they do have wins over Memphis,
Yeah, they
Arizona,
have some nice ones.
Liberty,
Yeah.
Texas A&M, Virginia Tech. Like there are a lot of Power Five wins they've gotten. So I
Yeah.
feel good about where they're at and what they can do. But it's not going to be good enough to be able to beat UConn. UConn's going to get that win over FAU next and be a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah, I agree. I think FAU did great last year, but I think they had more of a favorable, I think, side of the bracket last year. Whereas I feel like when you're the 8 or 9 seed, like you better hope that you are on the ultimate momentum ride because
Yeah, you got to
you
be.
most likely, I mean, we've seen it a few times happen, but it's super hard. And especially if you're not a Power Five conference team, you don't have the, no offense to FAU, but you don't have the size and the ability that UConn has, and UConn's just deep. Like I feel like I look at their stats and they're
UConn's one of the
deep.
deepest
Yeah,
rosters in the
it's
country.
and it's a team that surprised you. It's like, if it would have been 10 years ago, I think, Josh, you and I'd be like, oh yeah, UConn domination. But like, over the last few years, they haven't been so great until last year, and then now again this year, I think they have another chance to do it again.
So that next block of games, we got San Diego State and UAB. We
Yep.
got Auburn and Yale.
Yes.
This is my first big upset. I'm taking UAB over San Diego State. I believe UAB is coming off a conference title win over the weekend. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes. Yes, they were, because I remember seeing that on the Instagram.
Yes. Uh, and you posted that, so I hope
Yes.
you saw that.
I did see that. Yes.
Yeah. I do love to see momentum coming into the tournament. Not necessarily that just because you win your conference tournament that guarantees that you're going to make a tournament run. We saw San Diego State in a similar boat last year. I think they were a 5 or 6 seed last year, and they made
Yeah.
a run all the way to the Final Four. I'm coming in at 24-10. UAB is pretty even at 23-11. You look at some of the more notable matchups that the teams have had this year. Maybe San Diego State has a couple more high quality wins, but like I said, I'm leaning more towards the momentum here. I don't think that 5-12 is really reflective of how much separation there is between these teams.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take UAB here in the upset. Auburn and Yale, though, Auburn is one of those teams that I would have picked to be in a Final Four if they were in
Yeah.
literally any other
They
region in
kind of
the
got
country.
gypped. I think they kind of got gypped at a 4 seed. I felt like they were more like a
Me
two or
too.
three, two or three. But again,
Finishing,
I could see kind of why they put them there. They had some weird games, but I'm gonna go back to that UAB. I'll be honest with you. You'll see a pattern in my picks as we go on, and you'll understand why I was very hesitant to choose this upset. And so I decided to keep San Diego State. I think it's going to be a tight game. Like, I think you could ask a lot of people, they go either way on this. And I always love the 12-5 matchup. 13-4, 12-5. Those are always the upset kind of games, because you see that kind of like good non-power five. Usually that's like the best non-power five is usually in those 12-13 roles. And then you obviously have those 5 or 4s that are like, good, but maybe not so great. To me, I just think San Diego State, I think, edge this one out. And then again, I have Auburn beating Yale. Nothing against Yale. They're probably smarter than every single team in the freaking league, but they barely beat Brown. I don't know if you looked at Brown's record, they were under 500 in the championship game, and Yale had to win on a buzzer beater. So I'm just saying, if you can't beat Brown, first off, it's crazy to think that this university that they're about to play is like 300 years old. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah, Auburn, I think they got gypped at 4. I'm surprised they're that low, finishing 27-7, winning the SEC conference tournament, a very good conference.
Yes.
They
And the
led
fact that Tennessee is a 2 and they're a 4, I thought at least they should both be 3s, but that's my opinion.
yeah. Auburn in the conference was first in point differential. They were third in field goal percentage, fourth in scoring. Lot to like there, but yeah, I don't see them getting upset here in this one. So rocking with the Tigers right there. And then in that Auburn UAB matchup, I'm going to stick with Auburn, like for all the reasons I said. Really like them. I think they're a little underrated here. I think there's way more separation. UAB, like I said, has some momentum coming in after a conference tournament win, but this is Auburn. This is they're going to need a really great game here, and I don't really love a whole lot about them as much as I love Auburn. So sticking with Auburn.
No, I agree. Auburn for me, I think,
Auburn in the
like,
Sweet 16.
yeah, I agree with you. Auburn in Sweet 16, easy to go.
These games were hard to pick.
Oh, dude,
We got
these next two, I was like, I was on the brink here of like which way I go on these.
we got BYU Duquesne, uh BYU coming in at 23-10, Duquesne coming in at 24-11. I've thought about it for a little bit. I just couldn't find very many wins on the Duquesne side, whereas BYU's been a little more battle tested.
In Big 12.
They've beaten Iowa State, that's true. That's true. I forgot.
Yeah.
Didn't re I Yeah, thanks for the reminder. They're a Big 12 team. They've gotten wins over Kansas. They've gotten wins over TCU. They've gotten wins over Baylor and Iowa State. These are all teams that are like top four seeds, I believe, in the
Yeah.
bracket. So BYU being a six, maybe a little better than what a typical six seed might be. But I'm leaning BYU. I'm going to pick them to win this game. As far as Illinois Morehead State goes, Big Ten doesn't really do too well in the tournament
No,
lately,
they do
Ben.
terrible. They do terrible.
I wouldn't be surprised if Morehead wins this game, but I'm going
I
to go ahead with, I guess,
I
the
agree with
safe
you.
pick and beat
Yeah.
Illinois or pick
I
Illinois.
I was on the side of like I'm gonna pick Illinois, but also I'm not gonna be so mad if like this is the thing. I think Illinois has the upside to be a Elite Eight team. I really do. I think they have the upside to be that. They have all five dudes are like fifth year seniors. Like they're a veteran team. I think they have that chance. But they're also the team that could see get knocked out the first round. So I was a coin flip. But yes, I'm gonna go Illinois there. And yeah. So the next one here.
BYU, Illinois. I'm taking BYU.
Mm. So you see,
I'm not gonna be tempted to put Illinois farther than what I think they're capable. So I'm kind of eliminating them earlier. It's not necessarily as much as I love BYU, although I just said a lot of good things about him, but I don't really trust Illinois all that much. And so I'm gonna take them out before I can get overconfident in them and pick them to go further than what I believe they truly are capable of.
see, I'm gonna counter you on this because I think Illinois gives. I just think the Big Ten slate. I think they face some really good teams. Again, the Big Ten's not deep, but I think they face some really good teams. Yeah, I mean, they came back from dude in the Big Ten tournament. They came back from three double-digit leads, which some might say, well, that's a red flag. To me, I'm just like, hey, they're resilient. They know how to win. So, and again, I'm going to take the Big Ten basketball over BYU. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it for sure.
All right. Some of Illinois' more notable matchups this year. They did lose to Purdue both times, and they lost to Tennessee out of conference, but they were able to beat Wisconsin both times, get a win over
Yeah.
Nebraska, split series with Michigan State. So take that for what it's worth. Next up,
Oh, this one's fun for me. This is fun for me. This next group here.
we got Drake, Washington State, Iowa State, South Dakota
Oh yeah,
State.
this is fun. I can't wait.
All right. Um, Last year of the Pac-12 in basketball, by the way, too. I forgot that the
Yeah, it is.
Pac-12 didn't die
It
after the
is.
football season. The
That's
Pac-12 is
true.
still alive and well for the basketball
Baseball as
season.
well.
Yeah, very true. Um, I took Drake in this one.
Oh yeah,
Not much
1000%.
of a reason other than just a gut
Momentum
feeling.
and momentum.
Yeah, momentum. Yeah. I don't know if they won their conference or not,
Eh,
but
I'm going to say this, and I feel like this might this might come back to just be. I'm not trying to be like weird when I say this. Their leading scorer is just a white dude that can just ball. I'm just saying
okay.
like to me like having a dude that averaged 22 a game and he's just like this white dude that's balling. Like it's kind of cool. It reminds me of like the old Wichita State teams Drake does. Kind of like a team that's like
Is it
they're
Tucker
kind of
DeVries?
yeah. The dude's legit. And so to me, I'm just like, dude, Drake is also the team's name. Like your university's name's Drake. Like I'm sorry, but it just is cool. So I'm gonna go Drake here as well. I just want to point that out. I just don't think Washington State's gonna be any threat, to be honest.
Um, Speaking of small schools that I wish we could have been talking about, I wish Indiana State and Kareem
Oh,
Abdul-Jabbar would have been
dude,
in this game.
I would have been. Those would be in my final four for sure.
So, Iowa State, South Dakota. I'm feeling very, very good about Iowa State after seeing how they absolutely pulled down Houston's pants in that
That is true.
conference championship game. Just flat out embarrassed. It's making me question if Houston's even that good. I already was feeling pretty good about Iowa State and probably a team that I would pick to be in the Final Four had they not once again been in this loaded region.
Yeah.
But they're not going to fall off anytime soon in this one. So I'm picking them easy win over South Dakota State.
Yeah, I believe Iowa State will win. I think they're very good. Yeah, they're really good.
Win over Drake too.
No,
No, Drake in the Sweet
You
16?
gotta have a Ben Bowden special here. You gotta have a Ben Bowden throwing the wrench in the playbook here. No, I just think Drake, like again, I don't know what it is. It's like you said earlier, like you had a gut feeling about. I forget which game it was. You said something about like you had a gut feeling.
Well,
Was it
Drake,
BYU? Was it BYU? I
BYU was
think.
my gut.
Yeah, you said like a
Drake was
gut
a
thing
gut.
about it, right?
Mhm.
There's something about Drake that I'm like, you know how this works, and you know this too. This like the 7-2 matchup or 10-2 matchup can be a weird game in the past where the 2 seed they kind of roll through the 15 seed and then they just think, oh wait, if we get past this one, now we're in the Sweet 16, we're facing a 3 seed, and then we can move on to the Final Four. To me, I just Iowa State. I feel like they always get to like the Sweet 16 or that area, and I don't know if they really have shown. I believe that they made the Elite Eight a few years ago, I believe, but
Yeah, as a lower seed, I
yeah.
think.
But I guess for me is I'm just going with a team that I feel like maybe has a surprise under their belt, and I'm going to say Drake pulls off the magic Sweet 16.
Okay. So, Sweet 16 matchups here in this region. We got
Yes.
UConn, Auburn for me, BYU, Iowa State for me. But you, I believe, is UConn, Auburn, and BYU, Drake,
No, Illinois Drake.
Illinois, Drake. Okay, that's
Yep.
right. Yeah, you're sticking with Illinois. Okay. Let's talk about the UConn Auburn matchup since that's one that we both got right here in commonality. This is honestly like a championship level game in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, it is. It's a Final Four game for sure, at least.
Yeah, yeah, don't let that it's just in the Sweet 16 fool you guys. Like I said, there's a lot to love about Auburn, a lot to love about UConn, one of the deepest teams in the country. UConn, their totals are going to be a lot more higher nationally ranked, second in the country in point differential for them. I've been telling everybody, I believe they got 5 guys that score in double figures, 3 guys that average a block a game. They got 4 guys, I think, that average 40% from three, and 8 that average at least 30% from three, something crazy like that. Really solid on the defensive end. Tristan Newton's just an incredible player. Uh, Unfortunately, this is where Auburn's run ends for me. I would have loved to have picked them in the Final Four if they had been in literally any other
Yeah.
region, probably in the country. But running into UConn right here, I don't think anyone's stopping this UConn train.
No, agree with you. You've said everything that I would wanted to say. So, see, this is why Josh and I were on peak to this year. So I'm gonna go UConn, make it to the Elite Eight.
All right. And then this other matchup that I got BYU, Iowa State. Like I said, I really love Iowa State. These teams have faced each other a couple times. In, excuse me. In conference, I believe. I'm gonna check. BYU did get them back in January when they played, but the last time they faced, just a couple weeks ago, Iowa State got the nod there. So they're split as far as the regular season goes. Pretty uh, close skiing here, but I'm riding on the Iowa State momentum and taking them in this one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have Illinois Drake. I could
Mhm.
be even weirder and just keep choosing Drake, but no, I think this is the only. I want to make it very clear. If Iowa State's here, Illinois does not make it to the Elite Eight. I just want to make that very clear.
Mhm.
All
Hmm.
right, but since it's Drake, I feel like that's when Illinois can maybe use that veteran, leadership, use the team that's been here, done that, and so I want to have Illinois going to the Elite Eight versus
All
UConn.
right.
And then I have UConn going to the Final Four because I don't really need to say much in mine because it's just
Me too.
obvious. Just
I got
obvious.
UConn. I got UConn defeating Iowa State. This whole region here, at least for me, there wasn't really many upset picks
No.
because, like I said, I think this is the best 1, 2, 4 seed
Yeah.
out of all the regions. I don't think there's going to be a lot of room for any kind of tomfoolery or anything crazy happening in this one, unless you got, maybe those 1 or 2 off matchups early on that maybe a 5 or a 6 or something like that loses. But I think these
Yeah.
four are in it to win it.
Love it.
All right.
Love it. Should I start
Heading
with
out to
the West? Should I start with the West or the South?
Let's go to the West, which is
All
led
right.
by my North Carolina Tar Heels,
Well
who
then
will be playing
then
either.
Howard or
Who are the two
Wagner.
teams here?
Howard or Wagner.
Howard or Wagner? I
Howard who
do not
has
care. I'm picking.
Howard who has Seth Towns who's been playing ball for 8 years now. It's just weird.
Hmm.
All right. Shall I?
Yeah, I'm picking Carolina
I'll
regardless.
start. I'll start this one. Okay. So I'll do these two. So I'm going
You can
to pick
start.
North Carolina because let's be honest, if they lose to Howard or Wagner, I'm sorry, Josh, you should stop being a Carolina fan.
Probably.
And so I just think that's obvious. And then the other one, Mississippi State, Michigan State. I'll be honest with you, Michigan State doesn't deserve to be in the in the tournament. Just
They don't.
personally, if you look at their resume, Ohio State has a better resume. And I'm not saying this because of the Ohio State fan. I'm just literally saying Ohio State, who finished under 500 in the conference, has a better resume than what Michigan State does. I just think it's honestly because they want to keep that streak alive of 20 whatever years of being in the tournament. You're a 19 and 14 team in the Big Ten. Like you shouldn't make the tournament. It's just obvious. But anyways, that's besides the point. I think
Yeah.
Mississippi State's going to win this pretty easily, and then I think it's going to be North Carolina going on to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, Mississippi State, maybe a little bit better than what their record shows because the SEC was really good this
Yeah,
year. Michigan State, though, yeah, like you said, 19 and
it's
14, I
ridiculous.
really don't know how they got a 9 seed. You look at even like out of conference, like were they any good like against
No,
any other big teams in the
they weren't.
country? Nope, they lost to Duke, lost to Arizona, couldn't beat
That's
Purdue any of their times. They did get a win over Illinois, and
Ohio
they, I
State
guess
beat them.
yeah, out of conference they did get a win over Baylor, but Baylor's a 10-loss team this year, so it's not as huge of a win. I'm with you on this one. I'm picking Mississippi State as well. And then that North Carolina Mississippi State matchup, I'm picking North Carolina.
Nice, yes, sir. Then we have the classic St. Mary's making it once again as a 5 seed, which I feel like they're always a 5 seed. It just is like a St. Mary's thing.
Either
They're
a
versus
5 or a 12, I think,
yes,
when they first broke out on the scene.
they're versus Grand Canyon, a great school down there in Arizona, and then Alabama versus Charleston. I'm going to go with the St. Mary's versus Grand Canyon. I'm choosing Grand Canyon in this one. I'll be
Hmm,
honest. St. Mary's and Gonzaga, they don't scare me anymore. They used to, but then every time I chose them, they just
interesting.
they just get knocked out. And honestly, if you look at Grand Canyon, what they've been able to do, I mean, they've only been Division One for I believe like 4 years. I think it is. It's not been a very long time. They're doing some phenomenal things, and I think this team has momentum. They've only lost 4 games. I don't care who you are. If you lose 4 games in a basketball season, you're pretty good. So I'm gonna go Grand Canyon, and then I'm going Alabama. I was tempted, but then I kind of looked at what Alabama does, and again, it's the SEC, so 11 losses. You're like, well, how's this a 4 seed? Look at their schedule, okay, and that will tell you why they're a 4 seed. And so I'm gonna go Alabama versus Grand Canyon in this matchup. This next one.
Yeah, St. Mary's Grand Canyon was a tough one for me because St. Mary's does have like the experience of being in the tournament. But Grand Canyon does have a really good record. And looking through, Grand Canyon has been battle tested, although not many wins out of conference. They lose to South Carolina by, I think it was 7. They've had a decent amount of matchups against San Diego State. Uh, then you look at St. Mary's, and they've won 2 out of 3 against Gonzaga. But like we just said, Gonzaga is a little more down this year. They got wins over New Mexico, and then they had a really tough loss against Xavier. So I'm more so leaning on the experience here and picking St. Mary's, but it wouldn't shock me if Grand Canyon pulled this one off.
Yeah, but what do you got in the other one?
St. Mary's versus Alabama. I'm actually sticking with that SEC power.
Yeah.
Like you said, Alabama. Don't let the record fool you. Alabama over St. Mary's. Alabama heading the Sweet 16.
Yep, same. I got Alabama going to the Sweet 16. The next bunch we have Clemson, New Mexico, Baylor, Colgate, my wife's favorite team because it reminds her of toothpaste. Yes, you heard it here first.
I mean,
Um,
that's what I think of too when I first hear that.
it's hilarious, and the C looks like Colgate's thing, so I think it's kind of funny. Um, but if we look at this matchup, Clemson versus New Mexico, Clemson has a lot of veteran leader. If you look at their roster, like their top 5 dudes are all juniors or seniors. Then you have Baylor, who I feels a little down. I feel like they got a really blessing being a 3 seed, a 3 seed. I feel like they maybe should have been more like a 4 or 5. But hey, what am I supposed to say? But in that first matchup, I have New Mexico. I'm pulling out the Lobos. That's what they're called, I believe.
New Mexico
We're gonna
Lobos. Yep.
we're gonna call out the Lobos here. And I'm gonna say New Mexico pulls the upset, beats Clemson in a classic 11-6 matchup. And then I want to say Baylor, you know, whitens their teeth with Colgate and moves on to the second round. Yeah, you like that right there. Dad joke. But all
Yeah.
right.
Uh, I guess I disagree with you on these. Clemson's been one of
Are
those
we
teams that
opposite
seems
on this?
we are. Clemson's one of those teams to me that's just like hot and cold. They got some good wins. They got a couple maybe questionable losses. New Mexico, as you just said, I mean they can definitely they're more than capable of winning this game. I think Clemson's been a little bit more battle tested though, and I do like the veteran leadership, like you said. So picking Clemson here. Colgate though with Baylor, I think Baylor's pretty overrated as a 3 right here. That's not to say that Colgate's like any dominant team. We've talked about some of these smaller teams that only have lost 3 or 4
14-3, man.
games.
That's the fun matchup too.
Yeah,
14-3.
Colgate's 25-9, so it's not like they necessarily have a record or something, or even like any notable wins out of conference to go on. But it's more so just me not wanting to pick Baylor to go too far. And if there was a 14 to beat a 3, I think this is the matchup right here that it could happen in.
Yeah, and so for me, I have New Mexico versus Baylor, and I'm pulling the Lobos going to the Elite Eight.
Sweet
Sorry, not
16.
Elite Eight. Sorry, Sweet 16. I'm not going to jump too far ahead. Sweet 16.
Yeah, and then
So yeah,
me
I'm
with
sure the same
Clemson,
thing.
Colgate. I'm just going with Clemson here. Colgate gets their fun with the win over Baylor, but Clemson's getting a very favorable matchup here in round 32 and advancing to the Sweet 16 basically by default.
Yep, I mean it makes sense. Then we have the next.
Last block.
Now we have the next fun block, which this one is a fun one for me. You have Dayton and Nevada, uh, basically similar teams, almost the same team. If you kind of look at everything, they're very similar. But and then you have obviously Arizona versus Long Beach State, which fun fact, Long Beach State made the tournament and their coach is fired. He's literally does not have a job with Long Beach State when the season ends. I just want to point that out. Like the guy
Which
is
is crazy.
literally brought them to the tournament. He's probably looking at the AD like, "Are you sure? You sure?"
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at these matchups, I'm actually going Dayton to win this game. I think they're going to win it pretty easily. They've again, it's Dayton. They somehow surprise us, and I'm going to go with Arizona beating Long Beach State. But again, I want to make this very clear. Arizona scares the daylights out of me because that team every year, so many years in the past, I have chose them to go all the way to the Elite Eight or the Final Four, and they screw me over every year. So just letting you know,
Yeah.
not confident.
Dayton, Nevada is a coin flip for me. The coin landed on Nevada. So congrats to Nevada for such a great win right here. But yeah, Arizona Long Beach. Arizona is one of those teams, like you said, they always choke early on. They're like that first 1 seed or 2 seed to lose sometimes. And if it wasn't Long Beach State, that's a fun fact that you just brought up about them not having their head coach. I also don't like that Long Beach has 14 losses this season. So maybe this is a team that Arizona, the Wildcats, can potentially handle and go ahead and win this one. But unfortunately for the Wildcats, I'm going to not have any faith in them based on that win. Nevada is going to go ahead and defeat the Wildcats, or at least I'm knocking Arizona out as early as I feel comfortable so that I don't get tempted to pick them to go any
Yeah,
further than what I think they will. So
yeah.
Nevada to the Sweet 16. Now let's talk about these
Well, hold
matchups
on. I
we
didn't
got
choose
here.
mine yet. I haven't chosen mine yet. Hold on. I didn't tell you who my Sweet
You didn't
16
get
is.
there? I thought
I
you,
didn't.
okay, I thought you,
Do you know who mine is?
were you going
Dayton.
with Dayton?
Dayton, because
Okay,
I'm with you. I don't trust myself because if I put Arizona any farther, I'm gonna have to put them in the
I'll
Elite
get too
Eight, and I'm gonna
excited.
just get screwed over and miss a bunch of points.
Yeah.
Anyways, so there's the matchups. My matchups is North Carolina, Alabama, and New Mexico and Dayton. And yours, I believe, is North Carolina, Alabama, and Clemson
Clemson,
and
Nevada.
Nevada. So
Yes.
for me, I'm going to choose this. This is so hard. This one was so hard because I'm like, North Carolina is there, like I could see
Mm-hmm.
it, but then they lose to teams that they shouldn't lose to. But they beat Duke, and I'm very confused on
Beat
what I
Duke
should do.
twice.
Yeah, I'm very confused on what I should do. I'm gonna say because I've been debating this in my head. I actually was like I didn't know what I was gonna do until now. I'm gonna say Alabama by a very slim margin. I'm gonna say
Mm.
Alabama beats North Carolina.
Yeah,
Goes to Elite
Carolina
Eight.
split with Clemson, lost to UConn, but they did beat Tennessee out of conference and they did beat Duke twice. You look at Alabama's schedule, losses to Purdue and Arizona, but and lost to Tennessee twice. Split with Auburn. Carolina to me is one of those teams that, like you said, I hated watching how they lost to NC State, but credit to them. They've been hot on the trail lately, playing really good defense. They did really good. UNC did not shoot the ball too well there. So you look at this one, you got Mark Sears. Alabama, by the way, I think is the top scoring team in the country. So
Yeah,
Carolina's going to have to really lean into that defense. Baycott's going to have to be on it. Everybody's going to have to be doing their part to slow these guys down. But maybe a little bias here. I'm leaning Carolina. I'm going to pick them. to win this one. I think RJ and Baycott are going to get it done. These are two guys that are seniors. Baycott, I think in his case, is a COVID senior. Like they've come back to redeem themselves from at least that disappointing season last year where they were preseason number one, then didn't even make the tournament. They're back playing with a purpose. They're winning this game.
Yeah, and I have in the other game, I have Dayton beating New Mexico, Dayton going to the Elite Eight. Oh, it just feels good. I'm going to say Dayton going to the Elite Eight in that one for me.
Clemson, Nevada over here, and Clemson is getting it done for me. So you got a North Carolina Clemson matchup in the Elite Eight here, and I'm taking Carolina. They will win 2 out of 3 versus Clemson this year.
I'm not taking Dayton because I'm not stupid. I'm going to take Alabama, take the bigger powerhouse, and that'll be Alabama in the Final Four.
All right.
All right.
That is the West region.
Are we going south to Dallas? We're going to Dallas.
All right.
You go. You lead this one. Go.
All right. I still don't have a 16 win in a game yet, so Houston's getting it done over Longwood. This Nebraska-Texas A&M matchup is fun.
Though. Nebraska's hot.
This one is fun because, like you said, Nebraska is hot. I don't believe Texas A&M is one of those teams that should really be here either with 14 losses.
14 losses. What are we doing?
But the other fun thing about this is that Trev Albers is leaving Nebraska and going to Texas A&M, and now his teams are playing.
Like, what do you do?
Yeah, Nebraska with 10 losses is probably should be a little bit higher than an 8. I'm taking them in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Houston, like what you said, and Nebraska over this as well.
Houston getting it done over Nebraska in yours?
Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not close.
Even though, like, I'm questioning everything about Houston after
that
game against Iowa State. Yeah. The things they like about Houston, they got
speed,
third in the
size.
country in point differential. Yes, they are very fast, and they also are the top defense in the country, allowing just 57 points a game.
Yes.
I think any kind of smaller team they play, they're definitely going to be able to squash because of that. It's going to take, one of the bigger time teams to be able to get it done against them, I think.
Yep.
All right. Wisconsin JMU. Wisconsin's one of those teams that I think there's a lot more to be desired from. I don't know why they're a 5, and JMU's hot, coming in with just 3 losses, and I think JMU might smoke Wisconsin in this one. I don't even think it's going to be a close game, honestly.
If you're seeing the pattern that I'm starting to do here, yes, JMU's winning. If you've noticed, now that's 2 straight 12 seeds that have won. JMU, I just think they're a better team than Wisconsin flat out. I don't think Wisconsin's a 5 seed. I think they're more like a 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And it's going to be proven in this game because I think James Madison is very underrated and they should be higher than a 12 seed. So I'm going to go James Madison here. And I'm going to go, and then I'm going to go Vermont. I'm kidding. No, I'm going to go Duke as much as I want to pick Vermont. I'm going to go Duke.
Yeah, Vermont is 28-6, so very solid 13 seed, if you will. But yeah, I do like Duke enough. I think they got some really good dudes over there. They're gonna get it done. So we've got, for me, JMU versus Duke.
Same.
I'm actually taking JMU.
Dude, same, my guy. I said mainly because Duke has been so inconsistent and just has looked really rough at times. And plus, James Madison is like, they've lost 3 games. Like, again, I want to point out they've lost 3 games. Like, in a college basketball season, that is impressive. Doesn't matter what league you play in. I'm going to go James Madison here.
Yeah. I think if there was a George Mason-esque team this year, it's this team. Yeah. It's this team. Texas Tech, NC State. Like I just said about NC State, they really probably shouldn't even be here, but somehow won the ACC, winning 5 games in 5 days with smothering defense. Like, it was very frustrating watching RJ Davis and everyone else on Carolina struggle to score in that one, and then just the game slowly slip away from us. I think that NC State is veteran-led. They are very, like I said, tough defensively. They're getting at least 1 win in this tournament. If they don't, that's just too sad. But sorry, Texas Tech. Yeah, there's also not really like a whole lot that stands out about Texas Tech to me, honestly.
No, there's not.
No. Which makes this pick a little bit easier. Texas Tech lost to Houston both times they played them this year. They split with Baylor. They did get BYU both times, so that's worth noting. But yeah, NC State. you're not going to really pick a whole lot from their regular season. Like I said, they weren't very good there, but they're coming in hot, and I think they got to win at least one.
Yeah, again, I think momentum's a huge thing going to the tournament. When you had five games in 5 days, I think NC State wins this pretty easily. So NC State on top.
Kentucky, Oakland.
Yes, I'm. To me, this wasn't even that much of as much as I think maybe people might think it is. I just think Kentucky kind of been there, done that. SEC tough conference. I'm gonna go Kentucky winning this, and I think fairly easy actually over Oakland.
Things to note about Kentucky: second highest scoring team in the country, fifth best field goal percentage in the country, also third in the country in blocks. They get up and down the court quick. They
Yep.
will make the big plays on defense, obviously, with the blocks. I don't think that this is going to be close. They're going to take care of business here.
Yes, sir. And then I also think that Kentucky's going to beat NC State.
Me
I
too.
only think
Like
it's
I
going to be
said,
close.
it's we got one win there for NC State there, the win that I'm sure that they'll love and appreciate. But yeah, Kentucky, I think that, you know, they're going to get it done here for all the reasons I was just saying. They'll get it done against Vermont.
Yes, sir. Next one we
Not
got.
Vermont. I lied.
No,
Oakland.
Oakland. You're okay. You're okay. We will forgive you.
Okay. Boise State and Colorado in the play-in. The winner gets to play Florida.
Yeah.
Pretty close to picking a play-in here, but I think Florida looked solid enough in that SEC tournament that they can win one game here, regardless of who it is.
Uh I'm I'm actually going to go with Colorado here. I think Colorado. So I'm saying, by the way, that means I'm picking 2 games right here. I'm saying that Colorado's win the first 4 and they're playing, and they're also going to beat Florida. So for me,
Hmm.
I think Colorado. Again, Florida. Yeah, I agree with you. They had a really good showing. Again, this is more of like one of your coin flips. This is kind of for me. I
Yeah.
flipped a coin. It's like I'm going to pick Colorado because it just seems more cool. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. I don't feel confident in either Colorado or Boise either, like winning the winner of that game to be able to pick, honestly. So I'm just kind of going with the safe. I'll just go with the 7 here. Florida did get 2 out of 3 against Bama this year, and they split with Auburn and actually beat Kentucky back in January. So they have some pretty good wins on their schedule. But yeah, anything can happen in March, so we'll see what happens there. Uh,
Marquette, Western Kentucky.
yeah. Marquette's another one of those teams to me that's just
I'm going
like,
to
are
choke.
you good or are you not good? Um, and Western Kentucky, I think, is good enough to make things interesting in this one too. But I'm gonna go ahead and reluctantly pick Marquette in this one.
I am also reluctantly with my hand on my pen going to pick Marquette
Yeah,
because I don't believe in them. But okay,
yeah. They almost got Purdue. They really got embarrassed by UConn
they did.
recently.
They
Yeah,
did.
yeah. It wasn't good. UConn, they've lost to UConn 3 times this year. Granted, UConn I think is the best team in the country, but
Agreed.
still would have liked to have seen you get at least one of those. Um, Most notable this year, wins I should say are probably Kansas and Nova.
Yes,
But I got Marquette going a little further than what I think I'd like, but that might just be because of the path that is drawn up here in this bracket. We'll see though as we pick here. But Sweet 16. Let me scroll over here to that. Okay, so we got hang on.
we got Houston, James Madison for both of us,
Yes.
and we have Kentucky Marquette both of us. I'm guessing.
Wait, did we talk about we forgot some games, didn't we?
No.
Did we pick a Marquette winner
Yeah,
against whoever
I
the
said
heck?
Marquette. Yes, I said Marquette beats Colorado, or I might not
Okay.
have, but now I do. So I say Marquette
Okay.
beats Colorado.
I do have Marquette being Florida.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't remember talking about that one. So all right, cool. Covering all the bases here. Yes, so Houston James Madison.
this was tempting. This is super tempting.
I got tempted, man. I picked James Madison to win this one. Houston is good enough to, make the Final Four, obviously. And I know I already said that it's once they run into a team that's like as big as them, or like at least on like par as far as Power 5 goes, they'll probably lose. But I got them getting knocked out here by James Madison. I think that out of all the teams, like I said, the most similar or the most George Mason potential here. I think they can steal one right here.
Why do you
Crazy.
always almost talk me out of it? Like you do this all the time. Every year there's a game where you almost talk me out of it. I'm now tempted to switch, but I'm not going to because I wrote in pen because
You wrote it in pen.
I believe
Okay.
in sticking with it. So I'm choosing Houston mainly because I feel like if there is a game that James Madison maybe like I feel if they were on the bottom of the bracket, I think they had more of a chance against like a Marquette or a Kentucky. But I feel like Houston just with their speed and the way they play, I just think Houston maybe edges them out just slightly, and Houston goes to the Elite Eight.
Well, I'll tell you what, regardless of who wins that game, I got Kentucky going to the Final
Yes, I
Four out
agree.
of this region anyways.
100%. Yes.
Kentucky would be that team that can match what
Yes.
Houston brings to the table and would beat them next. But yeah, and also, yeah, Kentucky, Marquette's run's coming to an end right here. They got a pretty easy path here up to this point, but they're gonna get knocked out once they finally got to play some real competition here. And I think Kentucky brings that. So far, in mine, I got UConn, I've got Carolina, I've got Kentucky in the Final Four.
I've got UConn, Alabama, Kentucky.
All right, and we'll find out who that fourth team is right here as we discuss the Midwest region. Kicking it off with the Purdue Boilermakers against, I believe, Middle Tennessee State and is it Grambling?
No, Montana State and Grambling. You're
Oh, okay.
close.
I got only abbreviations, so I can only guess. Neither of these teams will get Purdue. I know Purdue has choked in the first round of the past,
And they'll
but
still choke this year.
hopefully they can get it done against a 16.
Yes, I agree.
I
It's gonna
don't
be
feel
Purdue.
bold enough to pick a 16 to win.
I don't either. I've never been bold enough. I never will be.
Yeah.
I'm going Purdue on this.
What you got with Utah and TCU? Because this was another game that
Um
I probably thought way
it's
longer than I needed to
yeah,
about.
it's tough, but I'm gonna take the team that plays in the bigger conference. If I ever have to flip between two teams, I want to take the team that plays in the bigger conference and the better conference. So I'm gonna go TCU on this one. I just think they're gonna again they've played I think tougher competition throughout the year. So TCU.
Yeah, Utah State does have half the losses. Granted, they didn't have as hard of a schedule to play, and they did lose 2 out of 3 to San Diego State. Uh, Split with New Mexico. Beat Boise State twice this year. So that's kind of what they're working with here. And then on the TCU side, they've gotten wins over Houston. They've gotten a win over Baylor. They've gotten uh, a lot of other games have been close against tough teams, like lose to Kansas by 2, lose to Iowa State by 1. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. TCU, I think, is a little more battle tested and will be okay to win this one. So that takes us to TCU Purdue now.
Yeah. Yeah, tough one for me because I don't believe Purdue's going to the Final Four. I'll just say that now. I really don't. And I'm going to say they squeak by TCU, but it's going to be with one of those like Eddie has just decided to be a man among
Hmm.
boys, but again, I don't think they're going far, but they do make it to the Sweet 16.
I'm taking TCU in this one. And it's just because I don't want to pick Purdue to go farther than what I really
Yeah,
believe they can. They're never a team that really is making the Sweet 16, and
yeah,
it's not necessarily that I believe in TCU. It's just that I don't believe in Baylor or not Baylor, Purdue. So Purdue should win the game though. They better freaking win it, but I don't think they can.
yeah. It's going to be tough, but I'm going to stick with Purdue on that one for sure.
Next block of games, Gonzaga McNeese. Most of the
Uh,
time I'm picking Gonzaga to win at least
I'm
one or
not
two
picking them
games
here.
every year,
Not picking
but
them here.
I'm not picking them here
No.
either.
Both,
Uh,
I have both of those teams losing, St. Mary's and Gonzaga. If you've noticed, that'll be 3 straight 12 seed teams winning for me.
yeah. You got two teams right here that play in garbage conferences, and McNeese came out with the better record. Usually why Gonzaga is able to get like these 1 and 2 seeds in the tournament is because when they do play out of conference, they do
They
get
just
wins. But
annihilate people.
they
Yeah.
lost to UConn, lost to Purdue.
Yeah.
Uh, St. Mary's they lost to twice this year. So it's like, geez, the second best team in your conference you can't even get by. So McNeese, uh,
They just played well. Yeah.
not really tested out of conference. They have been able to beat UAB. I'll count that as a quality win, I guess. They got Michigan, a Power 5 team,
Michigan's terrible.
but Michigan
So
sucks
bad.
exactly.
So
So
bad.
this McNeese win for me is mostly because I don't believe in Gonzaga.
Yeah, and they always choke. So again, Purdue and Gonzaga in the same bracket. That is worst team to
Yeah,
choose right
there's
there.
there this is the I'll go ahead and say it right now since we're already kind of getting into it. This is the dirtiest region for me as far as like
Oh
seeds
yeah, for
go.
sure.
The most low seeds are advancing in this one for me, and it just makes me feel gross, but I hope it works.
It's the Midwest, man. What can I say? Um,
Kansas Samford.
yes, Kansas, Kansas. I'm just gonna say Kansas.
Kansas is always good enough to me to win one game, no matter what their record is or
I
how I
agree.
feel about them. I don't like this year's Kansas team, but got to get one if you're
Yeah,
the
and
Jayhawks.
I do. I just think again, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, Josh. The bigger conference, I think in this case scenario, when they're close, I think when it comes to chances to win, I just think when you're playing a bigger conference, you tend to have the ability to kind of push through. So I'm going to go Kansas here.
However, that McNeese Kansas matchup, I'm taking McNeese. I can't pick Kansas twice. I can't do it. I
Are
understand
you
if other people
nuts?
can.
Are you
Yeah,
nuts?
I'm nuts. I'm taking
That's a Ben Bowden pick right there. You realize you just did a Ben Bowden thing right there, which was to choose a team that everyone's going to think you're crazy. That's normally my job. You're stealing
I
my
almost
job.
picked all four 12s to
I know I did
win at
too.
least one game,
Did
and
you
I got
see
a
that?
couple
Remember what I said
advancing
earlier? I said I had to
to the Sweet
choose.
16.
Remember I said earlier I had to choose one that wasn't a 12 winning, so that's why I
Yeah,
chose the first bracket. Um,
right. Uh,
I'm
yeah, McNeese advancing to the Sweet 16 here for me. Well
I
done,
am
boys.
I am not. I have Kansas going. I can't in my own brain have this many low teams going that far because I'm just going to lose my mind. So I'm going to go Kansas right here.
Yeah, it's just like it's hard, man. I Kansas could do it, but they have like a lot of heavy losses. I'm just like I can't do it.
All right, well that's fine.
Yeah,
Next one's gonna
yes.
be interesting. Next one is interesting because let's just say there's a group in here. I won't say which team, but in the next two games, there's a team that's going to the Final Four for me. I won't say which one it is.
Woo. So you got your Pac-12 winner Oregon, I think, right?
Yep, versus South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina probably
Who's
should be
good,
higher than a
dude?
six.
They're
Once again,
good.
like the Auburn situation,
They're so good,
they're 26 and 7. What the heck are they a six seed
dude. They're
for?
so good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna
And their head coach from Findlay, Ohio, where my dad's from.
very
So
cool. Um yeah, as much as I do love momentum coming into the tournament, which Oregon's bringing, I think South Carolina is heavily underrated as a six, and they're gonna win a couple games in this tournament.
yeah,
So this is the first of a couple for me.
yeah, I'm gonna say South Carolina wins this, and I don't think it's gonna be close. I think South Carolina just owns Oregon.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest.
Creighton, Akron.
As much as I love Dayton, sorry, Akron, you're from the north. So I'm gonna say sorry, you're gonna get your butt just destroyed. I just think that Creighton is a team that is just they're coached so well. Like I think we say this every year about Creighton. Like they're just coached well. And I think in this time of the year, that's important. And I think Creighton can pull out a win here against Akron.
For sure, I agree. Creighton winning that one. However, South Carolina is taking care of business next round against these boys.
Absolutely. It's not even
Yeah.
gonna be close.
South
South
Carolina is
Carolina.
Sweet 16.
Absolutely.
All right. Texas versus either Virginia or
Colorado State.
Colorado State. Okay.
I
Uh,
I'm going Texas. Pick
yeah.
'em
I
horns.
I hate Texas,
I
but
hate them
I
too.
think
They're so
I
I
think
just
I
don't
think Virginia's winning
they
the game
squeaked
against
in, man.
Colorado State,
They squeaked in.
and Virginia is also one of those notorious chokers in the tournament too.
Yes.
And it's not that I really like Texas. I just think that they got a pretty favorable matchup here. Go ahead and get it done, Longhorns.
Yeah.
Finally, Tennessee versus St. Peter's. Can St. Peter's beat a two seed for the second time in 3 years,
No.
Ben?
No.
That's
No.
a pretty tall order. And I
No.
really love this
No.
Tennessee team.
I mean, I love them to an extent, but I yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee's just good.
All right. And I'm taking Tennessee over Texas too. I don't
Agreed.
think Texas
Yeah,
is that
agreed.
good.
Yeah, agreed. Tennessee over Texas.
All right. Sweet 16 round right here. So for me, I got TCU versus
What?
McNeese, a
What?
9 versus a 12. By default, McNeese,
Stop
well,
it.
I won't say by default. I
No,
think
stop it.
TCU's run's coming to an end here. McNeese is going to make the Elite
Oh,
Eight. I'll refresh your
Yeah.
memory. I also had JMU making the Elite Eight. I
Yes, I
got two
know.
12s in the Elite Eight, and I'm not necessarily proud of it, but
It's like
there we
it's like
go.
that it's like that kid that you like they got like okay grades in your school. You're like, I'm not necessarily proud of it, but they're here. Um
Right.
for me, I'm gonna go Purdue versus Kansas where Purdue falls. Again, it's more of the fact that I trust Kansas tad bit more Purdue. I honestly you can't trust either, but I'm gonna go with Kansas because Purdue has proven over and over again that they cannot make it out of like two games. So I'm gonna go Kansas to the uh Elite Eight.
Mm. That Tennessee South Carolina matchup is going to be a heck of a game too. I hope it happens. I hope we get it. They split
Yes.
during the regular season. Uh, both games were separated by I believe it was 7 points or less too, so
Yes.
very close. I think I had some stats here, but I've lost them. So let me see if I can recover them here in the next 10 seconds, or else I'm just going to go ahead and make my pick, and you'll just have to trust that I knew what I was talking about. Okay. Tennessee second in the SEC in point differential, fifth in the conference in points scored. Um, they are fourth in the conference in rebounds. South Carolina, unfortunately, is not top five in any of the major categories except points allowed. So that is going to be interesting. You do have the two top defenses in this conference. South Carolina averaging 67 points allowed, Tennessee 67.9 points allowed. I
Yeah.
think I think along with that defense though that Tennessee has, like defenses are pretty near even. Tennessee's got the edge offensively. I think they might hit a couple more shots in this one. Going ahead and taking South or not South Carolina, Tennessee to win this one and advance to the Elite Eight.
Okay. Okay. I'm sticking with South Carolina. I said earlier that a team from that group was going to make it the Final Four for me. And yeah, South Carolina is making the Elite Eight, and then I have them beating Kansas to go to the Final Four. I just think South Carolina is one of those teams that there's always one team every year, and I think you can agree with me, Josh, that just surprises everyone. And I think this is the team that is good. They're not just like a okay team, like they're a good team, and I think they're in a very good region to be a so good team or like a good
Yeah.
team.
The
Like
way
they're
that
in
the
a
region's
they're
drawn
in a
up
region
basically.
where they can make it to the Final Four, and you're
Yeah.
not really stressing over it. So I'm going to go South Carolina makes it to the Final Four.
Yeah. Dalton Connect in this one, second highest scorer in the country, is going to have a big game in this one, but I think he gets it done. And then they got to play McNeese Ben. Tennessee's getting it done in that one. Tennessee to the Final Four.
What a wacko. Okay. So the Final
Yeah.
Four teams I have is UConn, Alabama, Kentucky, South Carolina.
UConn versus North Carolina, Kentucky versus Tennessee.
And who do you have going to the national title? Josh, go.
I've got UConn defeating North Carolina. I think my Tar Heels are good enough to win a lot of games. I don't think they are great enough to win a national title this year, as much as it pains me to say. So UConn's going on from this one. Kentucky, Tennessee is going to be interesting because, like I just said, Tennessee's got a lot of top five rankings in the conference. Kentucky's got one of the best offenses in the country, period, though. Uh, Tennessee is going to have to do a lot to slow them down. Dalton Connect, like I said, is going to have to, have himself a heck of a game. But I think that they can get it done over there in Knoxville. So Tennessee, UConn, national championship for me.
I have UConn beating Alabama. Again, I think at this point, UConn just proves they're the better team. And then in the second game, I have Kentucky versus South Carolina. This is where South Carolina's magical end really does come to an end. I just think that Kentucky is going to be going to be too big, too fast. Their offense is going to be too powerful for South Carolina because South Carolina likes to slow the ball game down. So I'm going to choose Kentucky over South Carolina. Then I have UConn, South Carolina, UConn, Kentucky for the national title. And I'm going to even predict the score because that's a Ben Bowden thing. I'm going to say UConn goes back to back. It's only happened. The last time it happened was Florida, and I'm going to say UConn wins 78-66 over Kentucky.
I do have UConn winning it all. I looked at the bracket and I just said UConn's winning it all no matter what.
Let
I
me
don't
just fill
care
it
who I pick to
in.
win anything else. So that was the first thing I did was pick UConn for every single way to get there. I was like, this is a team that I believe in the most. Whoever else they face doesn't matter. And the final score for me, I'm gonna go ahead with like an 83-77 final.
Hey,
little more high scoring, I think, than
I
your
love
typical
it.
national
And you know
championship.
what?
But
Let's give us credit, Josh. We actually, our Final Four was pretty close. As crazy as we got kind of came down to pretty much the same teams, which I'm really proud of us, Josh. We're really trying to be better at this thing that we do. Um, but that's going to be it for what we're doing with the bracket. Please let us know in the comments what you think of our brackets. Who has the better bracket? Maybe we'll. I don't know. I don't think Josh. Are we doing a bracket challenge thing? I don't know. Are we? I don't really know. I
I
don't.
don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. We don't think too much into this, but if you guys want us to, let us know. Then we can put one out together. If not, I'm sure Fifth and Goal podcast will do one because they always do one every year.
Yeah,
So
I'll probably run in that
yeah,
one.
you can join in that one. That's really fun. Also, High State hired Jake Diebler. We'll go into details next episode. But that's just a weird hire, but I guess a good hire as well.
Hmm.
The other thing too, our mock draft 2 will probably be coming out. I'm thinking next week, Josh, or the week after, one of the two.
Do
Two.
you want to do it next week? I think when we record again, we'll have at least the Sweet 16
Yes.
matchups set, right? So we'll
Yeah.
probably have enough time to talk about that. We can go through our 2.0 a little bit
Yeah.
quicker. Yeah, let's go ahead and
Yeah.
after some NFL offseason moves, update to 2.0.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's do that. So we will do the mock draft 2.0 next week. We'll also talk about some of the college basketball games that have happened. Again, sorry if we didn't go through the women's bracket. Again,
Don't care.
we don't really care. Let's just be honest with you. Just being
Caitlin
honest.
Clark's gonna win it all. What do you want
Yeah,
us to
and
say?
we're not going to go to the NIT bracket. It's just we're not, okay? It's just not
I
us.
know.
All right?
Sorry,
So,
NIT fans.
I know.
Ohio State will
I
win
know.
it all, I'm sure.
Shut up. I don't know what's going to happen. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Also, if you've been noticing this like wiggling thing down here, Ben got a puppy, so she's down over there sleeping. She's like right there. So sorry, right there, somewhere right there. Anyways,
Tell them all the name, Ben, and what it
Fahe,
means.
Fahe, which means cinnamon in Hungarian. So as I told Josh, there's your Hungarian lesson for the day.
My
Um,
neighbor, when I was a kid, had a dog named Cinnamon.
the English word cinnamon just doesn't feel like a dog name, so I'm glad we have the
But
Hungarian name.
Fahe sounds like a dog name.
Yeah, it does. At least here it does. But that's besides the point. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We hope you guys enjoyed our brackets. If you want to call us crazy, you have all the freedom to do so. This is a free country. Countries. And we hope you guys enjoyed hearing us banter about why Josh's bracket is better than mine or mine's better than his. It's all fun and games. But if you've enjoyed it, go ahead and leave us a thumbs up. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Let us know that you love the episode. Share it with friends and family. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you give it a nice star rating as well, because we love a good star rating. And also, I want you to put in the comment below, put who you think is going to be the I would say the most chosen the most to be the upset pick. So is it going to be a Grand Canyon? Is it going to be a UAB, or is it going to be a McNeese or James Madison? Let us know in the comments below. I think that'd be a very interesting poll to do. So anyways, we hope you guys have a great weekend watching a lot of basketball. It's going to be so much fun to watch basketball. I'm so excited not to get any work done, productivity done at all. So anyways, hope you guys have a great time. And until next time, we'll see ya.